Hey, welcome back into another segment of Mindset Monday with me, Matt. These are episodes where I sit down one-on-one with you and share with you the wisdom that I've gained over the last nearly 13 years and what it took to get sober and stay that way. How did I maintain it? And then rebuild my marriage, become a better husband, a better father, become a better man, successful in anything I've ever tried to do since then. The wisdom I want to share with you today is about overcoming our limiting beliefs. This has kind of been our theme here this week. We had this topic in our Reclaiming You meeting last week. It was in Paige's episode on Friday. If you heard that one, if you haven't, please go back and listen to those. And then we're going to talk about it here today and kind of give you my take on this and why this has been such a hot topic for us here lately. I'd always felt my entire life like other people were made of something else than me. I could look at other people and there were those people and then there was me. And that was pretty much everyone. There was smart people. There was good looking people. There was people that were just like predestined for success in life. And then there was me. This is what I believed about myself, is that I would always be some kind of mediocre version of what everyone else always thought I could be, because I always had potential. Going back to like grade school, my teachers would always say the same thing. He's hilarious and people love him. People want to be his friend. Academically, he's not there, but he has potential. This was true in my marriage. You know, Paige saw the bones of something that could have been great, but it was potential. Potential can be a really amazing thing. It can give us hope. It can let us know in some dark corner of our mind that we're capable of so much more. But it can also be the very thing that drags us down, depending on how you want to look at it. Because I had always looked at myself as different than others. Maybe that worked for you, but that won't work for me. Yeah, you had a different upbringing than me. I don't know what it is, but there was something in other people that I just didn't possess. And that limited me a lot up until my mid-20s. In my mid-20s is kind of when all this stuff changed for me. I'll take you back to a story when I was graduating high school and kind of where this all started for me. And the first time I ever challenged one of my limiting beliefs. I was a effing terrible student in high school, like bad. I graduated, quote unquote, graduated high school with like a 1.2 GPA, like barely got out. Like graduation that's even like a nice way of putting it. They more or less just let me go. I was lovable, but I never went to school. And when I went to school, I did very little. The absolute bare minimum to get by. In fact, I switched my classes in my graduation plan from the state recommended program to like the district recommended program. So I could drop the bar even lower. So I wouldn't have to take courses like Algebra 2 or Pre-Cal and stuff like that. I more or less just got out of school. I didn't have any plans after that because I was not an academic kid. I figured I would do something like my father had done, an entrepreneur. I would figure something out along those lines. But what? I didn't know because I'd never had conversations with anyone about what I wanted to do with my life. I saw everyone else around me, like all my classmates and even Paige, who just seemed to have direction. Like they seemed to know where they were headed and where they were going and what they wanted to do with their lives. Those were those people, right? Out there on the outskirts of my life. There were people who had their shit together, and then there was people like me. It's not true though. People are not made of different stuff. We're all made of the same stuff. Some of us choose to accept what we've been told and what we've come to believe about ourselves, and some of us don't. My first semester in college, I thought that it kind of worked like high school and you could just kind of show up when you wanted and you would do okay. It does not work that way. And if you've ever been to school, you probably know this too. I failed, I think I signed up for 4 classes. I dropped 2 of them and I failed the other 2 because I just never went. I figured out really quickly that this is not going to be working for me. And then I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine who was headed to university, and he sat down and kind of gave me the run on what he was doing and what his plan was. He's like, my parents have always told me like his parents weren't entrepreneurs. They worked for other people. And so he knew that would be the path for him. I guess I was entitled in the sense that I thought that I could just figure things out and that's kind of how things worked. But I never saw the journey of what my dad had to do in starting a business and the sacrifices that he made and on the hard work that took. I didn't see any of that. So in a lot of ways I was kind of spoiled, kind of entitled. Everyone else around me was working their asses off. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, I grew up with you and I know that we're not too dissimilar, but look at you, like you're making it, like you're doing this stuff and maybe I can do better. Maybe I can do a little more. And so then I got serious about school. As I mentioned, I graduated high school with the 1.2. I graduated college with the 3.98. I was on the student investment committee. I graduated Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Society. I was on the president's list like just about every semester. I think I only made one B in the next 4 years after I had failed that first semester. I did really well in school. And I never thought of myself as a smart person, ever. I never thought that I could be eloquent or that other people would want to know what I thought about anything. I wasn't a reader. I wasn't someone that studied. That just wasn't me. But why? Because that was the story I told myself my entire fucking life. That is not true. We're all capable of greatness. How many of us are willing to believe that, though? I think for me anyway, that is the difference in who I was in my 20s and who I'm becoming in my late 30s and soon to be 40s. That is the difference. And I'm going to do my best to sit here with you and figure out what some of your limiting beliefs are. And by the end of this, I will have convinced you that the limiting beliefs themselves came from a place of survival and they were necessary at one point in your life. But now they're stupid. They don't serve you anymore. In fact, they hold you back. And I'm going to talk you out of believing the shit and the lies that you tell yourself before this episode is over. I'm looking forward to this one. I can't wait. It's a growth topic. And I know that you guys hate my growth topics, but they're important. That's the reason we started making the show. I love being able to talk about your past and being validating and making you feel like you're in the right place. But if I'm not making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, I'm not doing what I set out to do. That's what I'm here to do, is I'm here to challenge you. Think of me as a very close friend that you sit down with once a week and we have these awesome conversations. And sometimes they're just very healing, but other times they're going to make you uncomfortable. Don't turn this one off, because at the end of it, I want you to be inspired. I want you to be fired up. I want you just to be so excited about what comes next for your life, because I know that you've got some limiting beliefs that are standing in the way of who you want to be. I know you do. We're going to talk about this in the realm of sobriety, some of it in personal development, some of it in professional development. By the end of it, I'm going to show you that we are not dissimilar in the slightest. I am just like you. We are made of the same stuff. I am just less unwilling to believe the bullshit that I make up about myself. I've said this before, and I heard this in an AA meeting many, many years ago, and I love it, is that inside of everyone's head is a factory, and one half of your brain manufactures bullshit, and the other half buys it. Challenging our limiting beliefs, changing in life is nothing more than stop buying the bullshit. Stop buying it. Shut down that self-sustaining economy in your head. Good things will happen. Good things will come of this, and I cannot wait to get started with you. Before we get going, I want to thank SoberLink for being the sponsor of today's show and every show. If you were someone like me and you're trying to rebuild trust, let's say you've had a problem with drinking for the last God knows how long, 10, 20 years, whatever it might be. You've probably tried to stop on your own. You've probably promised that you're going to stop. And what inevitably happens? You go back to the way that things used to be. Now let's figure out why that is, right? Part of it's probably, my guess is that you haven't had enough accountability around you. Accountability is a powerful thing, okay? Maybe you haven't had enough support either. But on the path to rebuilding trust, you're going to need those two things. You're going to need some guardrails that keep you from being stupid. You're also going to need some people cheering you up along the way. SoberLink does all of this stuff, and it's an amazing gift that you give your loved ones. Here's why. You set up a network of people that get notified every single time you use the device. So you cannot sneak away and go to the bar on the way home. You can't hide a bottle under your seat. You can't come home and chew some gum and hope they don't smell it, because this thing will pick it up. It is amazing technology. You cannot cheat this thing. It's going to keep you from doing stupid stuff. You know you have to use this thing 2 or 3 times a day, whatever it might be, and people in your network get notified. Now, this is good for accountability, but it's also good for support, because every negative test shows them how serious you are. And you're doing what you said you would do. When you said, I promise I'm going to do something different, I'm going to change. They see that. And you're going to get people that come up to you and just throw their arm around you and say, man, I'm so proud of you. I've been watching my emails. I haven't said anything to you, but I've seen that you're doing the deal. I just want to let you know how proud of you I am. And that feels so good. So it gives you accountability and it gives support, but it's also a gift you give your loved ones. They want to trust you, but it's hard. Why would they, right? We haven't given them many reasons over the years. All the lies and all the deceit, and all the times we've gone back and deceived them, that stuff breaks their heart. They want to trust, but trust is lost in buckets and it's rebuilt in tiny little droplets. Every single test is not just a window into your life, visibility that they so desire, but it's a way for them to trust you again or not trust you. It's for them to know. It's a gift you give them. If you're as serious as you say you are, Get a sober link today and get started. Since you're an awesome listener of our show, we've got some perks for you. Go to soberlink.com/wheels. Sign up. They will give you $100 off a device. Whenever you sign up for a 1-year plan, you can now get these things for as little as $19 a month. That's it. No more upfront costs, huge expenses. I know a lot of times when addiction's involved in a family unit, finances are kind of tight. So they understand that. $19 a month, man, plus the $100 that you can apply toward the monthly plan cost of it, or you can apply it toward other bills. You can buy twofold merch with it, whatever the hell you want to do, they will do that. Go to soberlink.com/wheels. Support the companies that support our show and support yourself. Support your loved ones. Get a sober link today. While you're online, go to twfo.com, twfo.com. Check out everything that we offer. We've got merch, as I mentioned. We've got new hoodies. We've got sweatshirts. We've got water bottles. We've got stickers. We've got recovery rocks. Where's my recovery rock? Here it is. Here, let me get this up here. This rock is awesome. This is a way to acknowledge the journey of your spouse or partner as they have walked with you through recovery. It's got our logo on the front, and on the back it says, "Thank you for being my rock." We send so many of these out. Guys buy these and they send them to their spouses. And a lot of times they'll ask us to write a special note in there, which we're more than happy to do. Just put that in your order notes. More than happy to write you guys a note. Love doing that. We love being part of your journey. And those rocks are a really awesome way to acknowledge the journey that a spouse or partner has walked. Right? Whenever we start to clean up and get our shit together, people are going to congratulate you. They're going to tell you how proud of you they are, but no one's going to ask your spouse how they're doing. They're just not. That's not the way the world works. We are not attuned to this thing. The whole point of our show is to do that very thing, though. This is what we're doing here. So maybe one day we'll get to the point where automatically we're asking family members how they're doing and how they're coping and how they're feeling. But until then, get a recovery rock. It's a really awesome way to acknowledge that journey. We've also got a free Facebook community, if you didn't know, for spouses and partners only. I'm thinking about starting a group for guys that are working on getting sober, rebuilding lives. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, how I'm going to do that. But for now, we've got a free Facebook community for spouses and partners. Check that out. Go to our website. All you have to do is answer the questions. The most important one is, how do we greet listeners? You got to be a listener to know the answer to that question. And since you're listening now, hey, it's going to be Mindset Mondays or welcome back, or hey, y'all, if you listen to Paige's episodes. But we would love to have you. It is a community for you. We have free community calls where tons of people are showing up now. I heard from one of the call leaders that said there was like 50 people in a meeting the other night. It's awesome, man. And people are challenging one another, and it's validating. It's a healing place for you to talk about what's going on and get feedback from other people who have been there before. And you can just be yourself. You don't even have to have your camera on. It's just support. It's just support. We all rally around the mission we have here at TUFO. This is for you. We want you guys to take advantage of it and use it. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't think there's anything else like this on the internet, not the way that we do it anyway. And that's totally free resource for you, along with our blog. There's other stuff on the website as well. And we've got the podcast and YouTube. One thing you can do for us that we would really appreciate is leave us a review. Just leave us a review. It goes a long way pushing the show. It throws it up all the recommended podcast algorithms and more people can find it. If you found it helpful, that's something you can do that we would so much appreciate. It costs you nothing. If you do want to support the show and you think maybe our merch is a little bit ugly, you think the rocks are corny, whatever it might be, but you do want to help, we've got a buy me a coffee link. If you look at our social media profiles, there's a link in there called Linktree. Just click that and you can give as much or as little as you'd like. And every dollar you guys give goes right back into the show, into what we do in production with our amazing editor, Matt, the other Matt. Not me. I don't edit anymore. He's way better at it than I am. Lights, cameras, subscriptions, all this stuff that goes into making the content. It all goes back there. So it's going to a good place. We are not going on vacation with it. Not to that point, anywhere close to that point yet. But we appreciate all the support you guys give us. Truly, you guys keep us going whenever we feel like quitting, which happens. You guys keep us going. Your emails, your donations, all that stuff. We cannot thank you enough and tell you how much we appreciate that stuff. Genuinely, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you all so much. Let's get this one going. As I opened up with, I think that we all tell ourselves a million lies in various forms throughout our lives. One of those I talked about was kind of surface level, which was, I'm not a smart person, and smart people do things that I just can't do. I just wasn't born smart. My family didn't care about education. We're just not those kinds of people. I'm not a reader. I'm not a studier. That's not me. That's also not true. It's not true. You are what you're surrounded with a lot of the times, especially when you're a child. What you observe, what you see, what your parents do and teach you will become the basis, the bones of your identity as you get older. At some point, many of us will grow up and learn that we don't want to do things the way our parents did. We want to become someone else. But some of those things stick around. They stick around our entire lives. Another one that I'll touch on a little bit later, but is probably relatable to a lot of you. I grew up a really heavy kid. Like I was always the fat kid growing up. I was not an attractive kid growing up. I still feel that way. If any of you have ever gone through that journey where you've lost weight and you've gotten healthy, you know what I'm talking about. It's like this strange form of body dysmorphia. And I think that there's an intellectual version of that, like intellectual dysmorphia, where even if you are kind of smart, you don't feel that way. Let's say that you were someone who was not the person who would lead groups in classes, or you wouldn't get in front of a room and speak. And now you have a job where you do that. You probably feel like a bit of an imposter sometimes because you're living someone else's life because of that story that you've told yourself. And I think when it comes to sobriety, this is really interesting because there are so many of us. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this very thing from people, which is that that's just not a life for me. That's just not me. I can't be sober. Like that's just not in the cards for me. And this is what people believe. Like they truly believe that they were never intended to live that sort of a life. And I think about why that is. I can speak for myself without assuming what you're going through. Maybe our stories are a little bit different, but it was just around all the time when I was growing up. Like my parents drank. Man, in the late 80s and early 90s, like my parents would drive around with roadies all the time. Like a cup full of whatever it was, vodka and whatever. Like didn't matter where we were going, little league games, like it was just always around. My parents would have parties and entertain, and alcohol was always around. I had my first drink when I think I was 11 or 12. I think I smoked weed for the first time when I was summer before 8th grade. So that would make me like 12 or 13. And then I didn't tell my parents about it, but I was hanging around people that obviously had access to this kind of stuff. Like that was just my reality. That's what I'm trying to say, is that was just normal. For some people, abuse is a very normal thing too. If you grew up in a house where your parents were physical with you, that becomes something kind of normal to you in some ways. Maybe not something you want to practice, but also not something that you've been exposed to it. So whenever you're around it, maybe you do the same thing to your kids. And maybe it's really not in your value set, but it's just kind of all you know. And we create our identities at a very young age. And we kind of tell ourselves these stories. Dr. Porter, which I'll have on soon again, was on our show. And he had this quote. I remember it was a quote of someone else. So this is like the human centipede of quotes now. I don't know who the originator was, but he said, that's kind of gross. But he said, the story of what happened to you is nowhere near as important as the story you tell yourself about the story of what happened to you. And it's our inner narratives. Our inner narratives drive our lives. When it comes to sobriety, this was one that I know that I had. I told myself a story that this was just who I was, is that I knew how to work hard and play hard, and I was better with it, that I knew how to handle substances better than the average bear. I could go hard, but I knew when to turn it off. That's not exactly true. I told myself the story though, and I never dreamed that I could ever be sober. I looked at sober people. I looked at educated people. I looked at successful people like they were from a different fucking planet. They were just made of something that I wasn't made of. Like they had the makings of something that I couldn't comprehend. It's like, and I couldn't even quite put my finger on it. There was them and then there was me. And the only way I can compare this is going to sound cheesy to a lot of you probably, but I always pictured like people from the New England area who like summered on Cape Cod and stuff like that, whose parents were highly educated and like their kids had their college funds set up from the time they were born. And like they walked around in like polo clothes and their parents maybe drank on occasion, but they like prayed together as a family and they went to church. Like these were people that had their shit together. And that was not me. That was never going to be me. It could never be me. That's kind of the way I always looked at it, is that there was people out there who had their shit together, then there was everyone else. And I was never going to be one of those people. It was not in the cards for me. It just was not written in the stars that I would ever be anything than what I was raised to be and who I was. But as it turns out, that's not true at all. If that were true, I wouldn't be here doing this show. If that were true, we wouldn't be living in our home. If that were true, I wouldn't have the family that I have. None of that shit was true. But I had to figure that out on my own. I had to figure that out first by the way I talk to myself and challenging some of these previously held notions about things. Like your limiting beliefs probably hiding in the weeds, and you don't even realize it. You don't even know what they are because they are just accepted as such absolutes. These are like axioms that you accept about your life. This just is. None of it's true. Life is what you make of it, and you can be anything that you want to be, and you can decide right now to turn things around. It is never too late. There's no such thing as a person who was meant to do something and who wasn't meant to do something. There are some people that maybe have genetic predispositions to be better at certain things than others, but we can do anything that we set our minds to. I am a firm believer of that. I'll illustrate this with the story. I love the story. Dr. Taylor told me this story. He said, imagine a baby elephant. I don't know, he might have gotten it from someone else, but I'm going to credit him because he's the person who gave it to me. Baby elephant, right? They're so effing adorable, by the way. Let's picture this baby elephant is raised in captivity, and he's raised in captivity because they want him to perform in the circus. From the time he's a little bitty baby, they raise him around the circus. He sees other animals, in captivity and whatnot. And the way that they restrain these elephants is they would tie a rope around their neck, and they would tie that rope to this little post. That's where they need the elephant to be to watch all the other elephants and to kind of learn how the circus world works, but also so that he's not stomping around and tearing shit up, or maybe he runs away. The elephant sits there, and at some point, maybe gets scared. Maybe he just gets curious and he wants to go wander off. Well, he tries to pull away, and that rope stops him. He tries again. The rope stops him. Maybe 3 or 4 more times before he realizes, shit, there's a rope tied to my neck. I'm not getting away. Well, the thing about baby elephants is that they grow up to be really, really big elephants. So this thing grows to be 10,000 pounds, whatever an elephant weighs. I don't know, probably something close to that. They're huge. They're massive, right? Well, the circus folks keep the same rope around his neck from the time he's a baby till he's huge, big elephant. And they tie him to that same little post in the ground. What do you think that elephant does? He doesn't even try to pull away anymore because his belief about that rope is that it can stop him. But if that elephant actually tried to pull away, what would happen? That rope would snap, that post would come out of the ground, and he would be on his way, wherever the hell he wanted to go, because ain't nothing stopping him. That's the way I think of limiting beliefs. It's that little tiny rope that's been tied around your neck most of your life that is keeping you from doing the things that you want to do. And I know it's scary because you're convinced that it's going to stop you. You're convinced that it's real. Just like that baby elephant was convinced, even as an adult, there's no sense. I can't win. I've tried this and I failed, and there's no way I'll ever be able to do this. I've tried to break this rope, but he hasn't tried in a long time. My guess is that you probably haven't either. And you certainly haven't tried with a positive mindset and a different outlook on life. I am here to show you that we are no different, you and I, not at all. Maybe I appear to be something to you, whatever that might be. You might think I'm successful. You might think I'm well-spoken or I'm intelligent. I don't believe any of the stuff about myself. I am faking it just like you guys. Most days I really am. Another thing about identity is that identity lags reality by 1 to 2 years. Even if you were to start making changes in your life and do something amazing, you won't feel like that person for a couple of years. It takes a long time for your identity to catch up to the changes that you're making in your life. So I know how difficult it is. Like, let's say you're a guy listening, thinking about getting sober, and how tough that is, because I thought there's no way I can handle life without it, because I've tried that. And guess what? I failed. I couldn't do it. It was too much. It was too stressful. I couldn't manage, man. I've tried more times than I can count to get sober on my own. And I just couldn't do it, man. I tried to put the shit down, and I could for a couple weeks. Inevitably, I would start again, and I would disappoint everyone around me. And I would disappoint myself, and that I just can't go through that again. I think I just need to learn how to manage this better. That's the trap we all fall into with addiction. That's what we fall into. We try so hard to manage this problem, but the thing about addiction is that it is progressive. Over time, it tends to get worse, not better, just gets worse. And we become better at accepting the shit in our lives. It doesn't get better. We get it better at accepting it. We drop the bar so low that you can't trip over it. I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You absolutely can do it. You and I are made of the same stuff. That's it. I just need you to think for 1 second, if that guy did it, why not me? If he did it, then why can't I? Because if what he's saying is true and we're made of the same stuff and we're basically the same type of person, then what about me is so inherently rotten that I can't get that result? And the answer is nothing. There's nothing rotten about you. There's nothing broken with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's not. We just need to keep trying. We've got to keep trying. We've got to try things we haven't tried before. We've got to try new tools, new processes, whatever it might be. There is a recipe out there that exists that leads you to an amazing life. Maybe you want your life to look like mine in some way. You can do that. I'm here to say that you can do it. You can exceed me. You can go way further with this thing than I ever thought about. You can do it. I just need you to just give me a little bit and just think, okay, maybe you're a spouse or partner and you're convinced that you cannot survive outside of your relationship because it's all you know. Maybe you've been together for a really long time, like Paige and I just celebrated 25 years together. And you can't imagine being away from this person. You don't know who you are without your identity as so-and-so's wife, so-and-so's husband, whatever it might be. Here to tell you that you too can do that. You can be like all those other people that you see get through it. They are not more capable than you. Maybe they've got a little more gall and they're more willing to take risks, but they're not more capable. You're made of the exact same stuff. Just like that baby elephant, at some point you have to try again to pull that rope and to see what happens. But limiting beliefs form when something is true once and we assume that it's true forever. Most of us just stop testing that rope at some point. And then we called it wisdom, but that's not what wisdom is at all. It's fear. That's what it really is. So what limiting beliefs actually are. A limiting belief is a conclusion that you reached in survival mode and you just never updated it. It's not a personality flaw. It is not a mindset problem, really. Maybe it is the way we fix it is, but it is not, that's not what it actually is. And it's also not evidence that something is wrong with you and something that's broken. It is just it's an outdated rule that once kept you safe for whatever reason. And where they come from and kind of what they sound like. I'll give you some examples because you may be wondering, well, is this a limiting belief or maybe this about myself? I'm going to walk you through some examples to give you some clarity. Let's talk about like maybe childhood chaos. A lot of this stuff forms in early life. In our adolescence, in our childhood, this is where the stuff comes from. Let's say that you were a kid that if you spoke up and you advocated for yourself that you would get in trouble. And so now as an adult, you carry that belief that you are not someone who advocates. I just don't do that. I found a way to just eat shit and I'm okay with it. Like maybe you get walked all over at work and your bosses kind of take advantage of you and they mistake your kindness for weakness. Because that's the belief that you have is that speaking up equals you getting in trouble or something being wrong with you or you being less than. And that is a limiting belief that you have. It's limiting you. Or that I need to stay small to stay safe. I need to be quiet because if I'm quiet, then they won't know I'm here. And if they don't know I'm here, then they won't bother me and I won't be hurt. I have to just remain quiet and just status quo is what I aim for. And if I can keep them happy, then I can be happy. That's another one. That your needs don't matter. Again, that's like a kind of a tertiary concept from that one, or tangential concept from that one is that my needs don't matter. That's the belief that you have because of those other reasons, or that you're responsible for everyone else's emotions. Let's say that you grew up in a home with a lot of chaos. I was this guy in a lot of ways where you see dysfunction all around you. And so what you do is you try to overcompensate for that and you neglect what you need because you were just such a caretaker and you have so much empathy. You look around, you see your siblings or maybe your mom or your dad, and they're just broken and you just want to cheer them up. So you become the funny kid or you become a caretaker. You become very, very attuned to other people's needs. And maybe you make them their favorite meal and you bring it to them. And then from that comes this wonderful feeling. But the cost of that is that you're responsible for everyone else's emotions. What about yours, right? These beliefs make sense. I think they made sense. And they were, maybe you could argue, necessary whenever you were young and your house was unpredictable. But they don't make sense when you're 40. And they don't make sense when you're still swallowing your voice at the office or wherever it might be. You're still that baby elephant tied to that rope. Early failure. This is a really, really big one for early failure. I think this is where some of mine came from too, is that I tried once and I failed. And so that's just who I am. I'm a fuck up. I'm a failure. That's what I do. It's sort of like a cognitive distortion in that sense that it's like, it's all or nothing thinking. It's black or white. It's this or that. It's one extreme or the other. there's no in between. But also failure, like if you're not failing, you're not trying. Failure is evidence of trying. And ask anyone who's ever done anything amazing in life how they got there, and they will tell you a series of failures that led to that. That's the story. That's the amazing part about failure, is that it often leads somewhere great. But for me, failure felt dangerous. Like I don't know, much deeper than they described it when they were telling these stories. You know, it was an identity crisis. It was like, oh man, it crushed me. Or let's say that, you had trouble with finances when you were like a teenager, because we all do, unless you're Paige, who is like weirdly responsible with money and always has been, but I wasn't. Not just because I had a drug problem, just because I think I grew up in a house where there was money. And so you just thought that that's how it's always going to be. And you spend like a freaking idiot when you don't make money. Tough lesson I had to learn in my late teens, early 20s, but I kind of thought I was bad with money, because that's the story that Paige told me too. You're bad with money. You suck at finances. Well, then I went on to major in finance and run businesses and successful at doing it. And we're in good financial standing, because I'm good with money, turns out, actually. But I didn't believe that for a very long time. Maybe you think that you're not cut out for consistency, that discipline is just something that some people possess and you don't, because you have failed at a diet, or you have failed at a budget, or you have failed at getting sober, or whatever it might be. You just think that you're not one of those people. I'm just not consistent. That's just not in my making. Whatever my brain, the way it's wired, that is not for me. Or that you're not clutch. Like whenever things matter, you're going to screw it up somehow. You're going to screw it up, which is the crazy one about that one. Not just because I'm a dude and I like sports, but I like the psychology of the great ones, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those types of people, that want the ball in their hand in that last moment, and like what makes someone that way. And I think that it's a belief that they can make a difference. And it's the confidence that I've put in enough work that when that time comes, there's no one more prepared and more equipped to take that shot than me. Where the opposite side of that is that someone who might be just as capable just doesn't have that same mindset. Really fascinating, interesting to me. And I think about those moments anytime I'm about to do something scary, is that it's very rarely a skills issue. I mean, sometimes it is, especially with professional sports, but the stuff that you're doing in your life, it's probably not, right? It's more or less a confidence problem. This is an ego thing. It's not so much that you don't know what you're doing. It's just, do you believe in yourself? But you're going to screw it up when everything counts. Like, I think one moment in your life, at some point, if any of these are relatable, at some point, this moment became like a life sentence. And here you are in 40s or 50s or even older than that. And you're listening to this and you're thinking, damn, yeah, I guess he's got a point, because yeah, that came from a series of failures when I was young. And that's just kind of, I just rolled with that. Like, you felt like you had enough data to declare yourself X. I am a failure. I'm a screw up. I'm not consistent. I am not a fitness person, whatever it might be. But I think, in addiction too, like this comes up, and we have limiting beliefs that are kind of shared by people, spouses and partners alike. This can be like your limiting beliefs or your loved one's loving beliefs, is that you can't be trusted. You might think that about yourself. I can't be trusted. I know that because I screw up every time they start to trust me. You might think about your spouse. This is someone that I cannot trust. And you've got good evidence for that. But I would present to you the case of someone like me, and there are freaking millions of us, people that do rebuild trust, people that do the work to rebuild trust. And Paige trusts me now. But I will say, not 100%, but as close as I can get it, maybe 90s, high 90s probably. But I'll take it, man. That's an A, that's pretty good. There's going to be some things that she's always going to be a little weird about, but okay. I am up for the challenge of proving you wrong and myself wrong, because I am someone you can trust. I am loyal. Maybe you think you've done too much damage. Maybe. I've said, and I maintain this, that there is such a thing as a total relationship. There are some things we can do that just destroy the fabric of what that relationship was and who that person was and what your relationship really is. There is such a thing, but not always. And I think especially for the person who has the addiction, this is important, that you've done too much damage and that there's just no point in carrying on anymore. And that is not true. I have seen people come back from the depths of the worst things that humans can go through and live amazing lives, and they are the biggest inspirations in the entire world. We've all heard of these people who went to prison, got their lives together, became useful, and now they're like famous authors and stuff, motivational speakers, because guess what? They didn't do too much damage. It was worth living. It was worth carrying on. It was worth fighting. That is true. Maybe you think that you don't deserve any better than this. I kind of relate to that one. I thought that that's just like when I was going through the worst of my addiction, I thought that this is what I was meant for. Like this feels right for me. As sick as that sounds, I don't know where that came from really. I think you just drop your standards so low and you start to think so little of yourself that you think that this is probably what I deserve. That's not true either. That is a limiting belief. This is as good as it gets for someone like me. That's another one. Or that maybe you think you missed your window. Like there was a point in your life, and I'm going to touch on this one several times. It is never, ever, ever too late to start. Ever. On anything. Some of my heroes, the people that I look up to the most, didn't start the thing that I love them for until they were like in their 40s or 50s. And that gives me so much hope that at any point in our lives, we can do the thing that we always dreamed of doing and discover that there's still so much more to life than we ever dreamed. But at one point, you would have been convinced that I missed my window. That's that. It's not true. All of these beliefs, none of these were formed because you were weak. They formed because the chaos trains the brain to lower expectations. This is a survival skill in so many ways. Let's talk about being labeled. I think that spouses and partners have these. I think that people in addiction do too. These are kind of shared, that you're the problem. I'm the problem, right? For spouses and partners, a lot of times this is kind of what they feel and what they hear from their addicted loved one is that you're the problem. For as many, it's always been wild to me that someone, it's tongue in cheek funny, but not really funny because this is many people's reality. But let's acknowledge the absurdity of this. Where let's say that you're married to someone who struggles with addiction and you're living in this home and it's just chaos and you're doing everything you can to hold everything together. And then when you are able to get them in a position where they're kind of ready to talk about this and they seem pretty even keel, they're going to turn this around on you and tell you that you're the fucking reason that all this happens, that you're the reason I drink. You're the reason that this is dysfunctional. It's because the way you respond. It's because the way that you act, the way that you yell, the way that you don't sleep with me enough. All this shit that you think that you're the problem. And sometimes spouses and partners, even after that relationship ends, continue to carry this identity that I'm the problem. I am the problem. Addicted people in much the same ways have this too. From a different lens though, maybe this was the case when you were a child and let's say you had a dysfunctional home and you thought I am the problem. And so you've just accepted I'm the problem. And maybe in some ways you've just leaned into that. And it's like, well, if I'm going to be the problem, I might as well just go ahead and be the fucking problem. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You might think that you're too much, spouses and partners, especially. I'm too much. I'm too needy, whatever it might be. You're not too needy. Your needs are probably simplistic. They are probably very normal human needs for safety, security, shelter, food, Maslow's hierarchy, right? But maybe some deeper ones in the existential area that you have meaning and purpose in your life. And I'm just too needy. No, you're not. You're probably not, right? It's just, you've got someone around you who's making you feel that way, that you don't deserve those things. And that is not true. Likewise, for people who struggle with addiction, you might think that your needs are too much and they're also not. Let's get you sober first and let's get these thoughts moving in the right direction before we start to declare what we need from other people. But my guess is that very similar to your spouse or partner, like you're not too much. You're not. Spouses and partners oftentimes will feel like they have to be the strong ones, so they're not allowed to feel, that they're not allowed to fall apart. I wrote about this in a newsletter a while back, and I reposted it just recently as an article on our Facebook page, which has been getting a lot of traction lately. It's been great. It's driving a bunch of new listeners to the show. It's been awesome. But anyway, it's this idea, where's my me? Like, where's my me? Like, as much as I show up and I anticipate other people's needs and I'm everything to everyone all the time, doesn't matter if it's, if it's the parent teacher organization, if it's coaching the team, if it's at office, if it's with the children at home, like I am on top of every fucking thing all the time. I don't get to break because the world relies on me. And so you start to believe that You don't get to fall apart. And downstream of that is, or upstream of that is that I don't get to feel my feelings. I don't get to be sad. I don't get to be hurt. I don't get to feel disappointed. That's not true either. And you don't have to be the strong one forever. You don't have to carry everyone else's burdens for the rest of your life. You deserve to have people around you who support you all the same. But a lot of times this is our identity. We believe that we have to be the strong ones and we don't get to fall apart. Maybe in some practical sense, whenever you have children, there could be some truth to that, but that's not your identity. Is just mom who holds everything together, or dad who just holds it together and never feels his feelings and drinks all of them down into oblivion. That's not true. You can feel your feelings and you can fall apart and you can have bad days. It is okay. It is okay. This is the identity that we've carried. This is the limiting belief we have about ourselves, is that you don't ever get to feel your feelings. So I hope you can see like where we're headed and how deep this stuff goes and why this topic is so important to us. Maybe you bought the codependent label. Maybe you believe that you are a quote unquote anxious person, or that you're broken in some way. Like I talk to people in addiction all the time who believe this, that they're broken. Like my brain's broken and it's broken and it'll never be okay. And the only way for me to feel okay about anything in the world is when I put substances in my body. That is more of an identity problem than it is a limiting belief problem than it is the truth about life. Labels can explain behavior. I think they can provide context, but they become limiting whenever we treat them like destiny and when we think that we can't change them and we can't ever be anything different. And what I want to be clear about this, because I am going to talk about these things like they're stupid, these limiting beliefs. They were not stupid when they formed. They formed for a very, very good reason. They kept you safe for whatever reason. Safe from emotional harm, safe from physical harm, safe from expectations. Whatever it was, they kept you safe in some way. They were adaptive and they helped you survive something that was very real. They became stupid when they went unquestioned later in life, when we did not question whether or not these things were actually true, objectively true or false. Because you're still living by rules that were written during a completely different chapter of your life. That's the problem with limiting beliefs. You don't need to shame your belief. You don't need to shame yourself for having these ideas about yourself. If we did that, we wouldn't get very far. I don't even think you really need to like heal your inner child. I think you just need to ask, is this belief still protecting me? Or is it quietly costing me everything that I truly want in life? And that's kind of where the work starts. And that's what I want to get into. I also want to tell you that, as I mentioned, I don't believe that we're made of different stuff. You, me, your neighbor, your spouse, we're not made of different stuff. Sure, we have DNA that is structurally different. Sure. Okay. Yeah. We have different genes. We have different talents, whatever those might be. But I am a believer that in many ways, humans are like, I'm going to split some hairs here. Okay. I believe in evolutionary science. I believe in DNA and genes and inheritable traits and all this stuff, but I don't think that they're destiny. That's what I'm trying to say. Like when it comes to addiction, for instance, if I believed that addiction was part of my genetic makeup, which it probably is, by the way, if I believed that that was my destiny, then I wouldn't have ever tried to get sober. Like your genes, nature, they load the gun with all of your different genes, but your environment oftentimes pulls the trigger along with our decisions. But they're not destiny, right? I'm not destined to be a drug addict, an alcoholic who ruins their life. That's not me. That's not my story. I'm fighting back and you can fight back too. That's the cool part. So what I want to get at here is that you have all the ingredients that you need to be whatever it is that you want to be. Like you have the ingredients for a great life, whatever they might be. Different qualities, we have different quantities, different qualities, sure, but the dish exists. Think of it, what's that show? Iron Chef. Remember, you ever seen that show? It's a good one. I don't know if it's still on TV or not. They would give these chefs random ass ingredients, like just random stuff. Like there could be like gummy bears along with like Wagyu ribeye and like some vegetables I've never heard of. And these chefs would have to put together these dishes and present it in the most creative and tasty way possible. Like they had all the same ingredients and what they came out with were two totally different things that were both amazing in their own ways. And that's kind of the way I look at people. and I look at all the different ingredients that you have in your inner fridge or your pantry inside of you, and what can we do with those, right? Let's take the ones that are the best quality. Let's make them better. Let's take the ones that aren't so great and let's throw a little salt on them, man. Let's make them taste a little better. Like I fucking refuse to believe that you can't do more. I refuse to believe that you can't be more with your life because of some predestined idea or set of genetics. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, man. Muggsy Bogues. You guys know who he is? He was an NBA player. I think he was like 5'6", or really short guy. He could dunk a basketball. If Muggsy Bogues can dunk a basketball, anything's possible. Maybe that's a terrible analogy, but I don't know. Like, I'll probably never be a professional athlete, but is there some alternate timeline where I could have been? Yes, and probably for you too. I believe these things. I do. How hard you want to work for it? I think we've all got the right ingredients. But let's talk about, I'm going to prove this to you right now. If you don't believe me, if you don't buy this shit, if you're just purely this is a genetic thing and our genes dictate everything, okay, I respect that argument. I think it's a fun debate to have, but I'm going to prove you wrong right here when it comes to sobriety, for instance. My guess is that if you're someone who struggles with sobriety, if you've tried a million things and it just hasn't really worked out for you, you have been sober for a period of time. I know that you have. You've tried to get sober for a period of time, or at some point in your life, you were sober. Maybe you've gone a couple of weeks, whatever it might have been. In that time frame, you tolerated discomfort. You delayed gratification, delayed discounting, right? You chose long-term comfort over short-term comfort. Sobriety, that wasn't luck. It wasn't luck. It was proof of capacity. You have the capacity to do that. Now, what that does tell us, though, what that information and those past experiences tell us, is that way was ineffective for any number of reasons, right? Maybe science has an answer. Maybe therapy has an answer. Maybe 12-step has an answer. Maybe some combination of supportive communities and a change in routine and different beliefs and medication. Well, I don't know. There's just some recipe that works. It's not true that you can't do it. It is not true. You are not too broken. And if you think that, I want to shake you right now in a loving way, but I still want to shake the shit out of you. It is not true. That is absolutely false. You can. You are not broken. This is not a life that people like me can achieve and you can't. It's just not true. Absolutely false. False. You have already done it. And you've done things in your life that require those same attributes of delaying gratification, of being resilient, persevering, dealing with discomfort, and choosing a long-term goal over something short-term. You have those tools. It's the same shit packaged in a different way. That's what sobriety really is. So you can do this. You can do this. For any of you guys, fatherhood. Maybe you didn't have the best example of a father and you wanted to be a better father than your father, but inevitably you ended up being your father and you think it was always going to be this way. Also not true. Also not true. And when it comes to sobriety, for instance, let's ask, I want you to answer the question. I will ask you, are your kids safer with you sober? True or false? True. Probably true. They're safer with you sober. That you've been sober around them. You know how to regulate. You already do. In some sense, you know how. Maybe you're not great at it. Maybe you can't do it in every way, every time, but you can to some extent regulate your emotions. And you care. You care about the impact of those emotions on other people. I think you've got the bones of what could be a great father. You could. It's just, how hard do you want to work on those things and build them into something that really becomes meaningful and more consistent and be more disciplined with it? Like marriage and relationships, like, guys, all this stuff is the same. I can give you a million instances in your life where you have a belief that you can't do X and you've got attributes that say that you can. You have the ingredients. You have them, okay? They're there. You are not broken. This is a matter of, a lot of times, the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. And so much of that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, the the belief in that incorrect belief creates the circumstances that actually make it true. Whereas the opposite would do the opposite. I promise you. I had this one when it came to fitness, for instance. I was always a fat kid growing up, and I just thought that this is how I'm built. Like genetically, I am, what are those, ectomorphs? Oh, I can't remember right now. Two different types of bodies, right? There's one that's kind of skinny and lean. There's one that's kind of big and chubby. And I was the big and chubby one. And maybe that's true to some extent, but damn it, man, I did not want to be that person. I was not comfortable in my own skin. I was not proud of the way I looked. It made me feel worse about myself. It hurt my self-esteem. I didn't want to be that person, but I also wasn't a quote unquote fitness person. I looked at people that like jogged and ran and rode bikes and they were active and they ate right, as like they were born with something that I didn't have. And this is just not in the cards for me. That is not true. It is not true. It took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of discipline, but I am one of those quote unquote fitness people now. I guess. I mean, I'm sure the old version of me would say that. I still don't really feel that way, but I've been leaning out here lately. I'm probably 10% or less body fat right now, like visible abs and striations in my muscles and all that stuff. And I'm exercising on a regular basis and I'm eating right. I'm doing all that stuff. And I am not one of these people that was ever supposed to do that. I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, you can do it. You can be this person. I am not fucking special. I am not unique. I am not different than you. I'm just really, really stubborn and I question everything, especially the stuff I tell myself, I think possibly the most dangerous limiting belief is that it's too late for you. I want to call this out. I think this sounds kind of mature in some ways for us. It's like, it's just too late. I missed the boat there. I think it sounds like pragmatic and realistic in some ways, but it's neither. I want you to ask yourself, too late for what? Too late to get sober, to turn your life around? Too late to start a business? Too late to go back to school? Too late to achieve your dreams, write a book, whatever it is that you've wanted to do? Like, at what age does change become impossible? I do concede that it becomes more difficult, but never impossible. More difficult as time goes on, but never impossible. Just because those grooves in your brain are so deep with this bullshit story that you've told yourself that it's not in the cards for you. And like, who taught you this rule? Like, show me in the rule book where it says that. Show me in the rule book where it says that you can't do X. Whose rule book? It doesn't exist. It does not exist. Fuck the rule book. It's not there. It's not real. It's a limiting belief. It's just not true. There's someone out there who has achieved everything that you wanted to do at a later age. It is not too late for you. I knew a guy. He's since passed from natural causes, but he didn't get sober till he was like 70s, something like that. Incredible man. But he had really wrecked relationships most of his life, a couple marriages. Life was falling apart, health was falling apart, and decided to start attending an AA group that I was a member of for, like, he was going like 7 days a week. I mean, he was retired, nothing else to do, might as well, right? But guy really turned his life around. And those last like 8 or 9 years of his life were the best years of his life. He was living with purpose and meaning, and he was helping other people, and he was repairing relationships that he thought he had completely passed. He was an inspiration to all of us, that at 70 something years old, he can be like, you know what? I ain't doing this shit anymore. I'm done. Fucking over it. It was incredible. I've seen people do that at 19 years old as well. I knew a kid who got sober at 19 and he's in his late 30s now and he's still sober and happy. Like, never too early. It's never too late. This just bullshit. It doesn't make sense. Is it maybe more practical at certain times in our life? Yeah, probably, but it's never impossible. So miss me with that. It is not impossible. It's not too late. I just know that hoping otherwise feels a little risky, and it feels like, I don't want to get my hopes up. Just do the thing. Whatever it is you want to do the thing. For sobriety, I am absolutely convinced that there is a path out there that exists for everyone that makes that possible. Every single person, period. No exceptions. Everyone can do that. What that looks like for you will maybe look a little different than it did for me, but it's going to be possible for you. I've talked to people who got sober I don't know how to recommend it, but just like white knuckle on their own without any support at all. They have support now, but they said back then it was really, really tough, but they did it. I don't recommend that. Again, I think it's a rough way to go. It's a lot easier when you got people around you. I've seen people get sober just in church. I've seen people get sober with medication assisted treatment. I've seen people get sober with, you name it, man. There are ways to get sober. There are ways to do this deal. But remember, getting sober is only part of the battle. Becoming a better person is what we are actually after. So congrats, you got sober. You can still be an asshole sober. How are we not going to be an asshole anymore? That's what really matters. And that's the work that I think we talk about here on the show. And we suggest things all the time. There are books, there's therapy, there are podcasts you can listen to, there's stuff you can try to become a better person. And a lot of times it's acknowledging the bullshit that in the factory in our heads, the one half that manufactures the bullshit, the other half that sells it, that buys it, I should say. It's a lot of times we're confronting that stuff. And that is what ultimately gets us to the point where we become reasonable enough to take on new ideas and try new things and reinvent yourself. But I think like great movies, great stories, a lot of them are born from inspirational stories about people who have done something amazing with their lives. Every single one of those people challenged limiting belief. Every one of them, man. Forrest Gump's one of my favorite movies of all time. If Forrest would have believed the shit that people told him, just imagine how boring that movie would be. You can't do anything. You're dumb. Legs don't work. You're not athletic, whatever it might be. Forrest didn't give a shit, man. Challenged every limiting belief that he ever had. Just listen to his mama. What'd she tell him? That you're awesome. You can do anything you want to do. And we all need someone like that in our lives. And I will be that for you. I'm telling you that you can do anything that you want to do. Anything. So let's do an exercise. We actually talked about this in Reclaiming You this last week. If you don't know, I've mentioned this a few times, if you don't know what Reclaiming You is, if you're a partner or spouse, we created a program for you. Alongside a licensed therapist, we walk you through the path of healing and the journey of reclaiming your identity. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I become that person? A lot of people find us because they want to fix their relationship. We will never guarantee that we will fix your relationship ever. In fact, your relationship may end. But what we will guarantee is that you will be a better person regardless of what happens with your relationship, because you will know who you are and what you stand for. You will be more resilient. You will handle things. You will have friends. You will have a community that supports you along the way. This is something we talked about in this last week's meeting. We have meetings. We meet on Wednesday evenings. I think Paige has recently changed the time. If you're interested, go to reclaimingyou.com, reclaiming-you.com. Go to our website, twfo.com, and you can find our program, Reclaiming You. Go to the website. Brand new, redesigned. You can go check it out. Get in there. And you get access to us to some degree. Like you can send us emails. We'll respond to you. Real life people, not AI. And then in our meetings, it's usually me or Paige. Usually, just depends kind of the season of life. Right now, it's crazy busy. We may not make as many as we'd like, but a lot of times we'll be there. And as long as we can, we'll continue to offer those. It's not like a guaranteed part of the course forever, but we think it's cool. We think it's helpful. We like showing up. We believe in this stuff, and we're going to show up because we want to show you, like, you can do it. You can, whatever you want to do, you can do it. But we did this exercise. I'm going to have you cross-examine yourself. Okay. Pretend you're that baby elephant. This is me showing you the rope. I'm going to show you that rope, and we're going to rationalize through that rope can't hold you. I want you to, let's run through some relatable beliefs. Identity and worth, for instance. Let's start there. I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I'm the problem, whatever it might be. Let's say it deals with change, is that I can't change. It's not in the cards for me. This is just who I am. This is what I do. I'm just anxious. I'm just an addict, whatever that might be. I missed my chance. The window's gone. When it comes to sobriety, I'll never be able to be sober. I will always want it and be miserable that I can't have it. Maybe that's true, but I'll never be happy and sober. Or you think that I'm just one stressful day away from going back out and fucking everything up again. Or other people can do this, but I cannot. Let's say it's relationships. You think, I just ruin stuff. That's what I do. I ruin relationships. That's who I am. That's what I was created to do, was to fuck other people's life up. That you're not built for intimacy or emotional connection or emotional intelligence, that you can't communicate in the way that maybe you see me doing on these videos. Maybe that's what you think. Parenting, you might think, I already screwed them up bad. There ain't no going back. That they'll always remember the old me, and there's no point in trying to change because that's all they'll ever know. Intelligence and success. I think that was a big one for me, is that I'm not smart. I will always be riding on someone else's coattails. I am not enough as the way I am. I will always be living in someone else's shadow. I am an imposter. I don't belong in rooms like this. I will never be successful. Health and fitness, you might think, like, especially for addiction, you might think you've just done too much damage. You might think that you were just born to be overweight and unhappy. That you'll never be disciplined. All of these things, and maybe not all of them. I hope not all of them feel familiar, but some of these things will feel familiar to you. And what you're looking at is the rope. These things are the rope. This is the limiting belief. Now, I want you to find the cost of that belief. Ask yourself, what does this belief cost me with my marriage, with my kids, with my health, with my self-respect and self-esteem, with my future? Every single one of those beliefs charges rent in some way, and it has a cost. Thomas Sowell said there's no such thing as decisions in life, only trade-offs. In choosing to believe that, you are sacrificing something else on the other side of it. What is the cost of that? When it comes to sobriety, it's pretty easy. There is a massive cost to that. When it comes to my kids, I've already screwed them up. They're better off without me. What is the cost to that? What is the cost of that? They would never get to know the amazing version of you if you would just get your shit together. And you could teach them the redemption arc. You could teach them that people can get better and people can change. And if they ever find themselves in that same situation that you're in right now, they'll have hope because mom or dad did it. That's the cost. That's the cost in believing the bullshit that we tell ourselves, guys. That's the cost. For that baby elephant, it stays stuck in a shitty circus that it don't even want to be part of anymore. By the way, I think didn't they ban elephants from circuses? I think that they told the Ringling Brothers to kick rocks when it came to elephants. They need to let them elephants go. I'm pretty sure. I think that the mistreatment of elephants and all this shit has come to an end. But either way, for a long time, they were staring at these ropes like, damn it, I want more for myself. I want to go out there and play with all the other elephants and roam the fields. But I can't because there's this rope that's holding me back. There is a rope that's holding you back, and there's a massive cost to that. And you need to acknowledge it because that's going to make the pain go up. Remember, I've always said time plus pain equals change. A lot of time, a short amount or low amount of pain will get you to change, but that's not fun. A short period of time and a lot of pain will change you faster. My goal is to crank up the pain dial a little bit, internal pain. I want you to see this stuff. I want you to acknowledge the stuff. That will increase your pain tolerance to a point where you fall out of the region beta and you get into action and you start to make differences in your life. But you have to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the cost in every single one of those things. What is the cost? What is the cost of believing that you're broken? What is the cost of believing that something's wrong with you? The cost is that you will never know any different, and you guarantee the result that you're afraid of because you believe this shit. When it comes to change, the same thing. Sobriety, same thing. Relationships, that you just ruin stuff. You're not built for intimacy, whatever it might be. Not true. But what's the cost? Is that your current marriage is going to suck because you believe that. The relationships you do have will suffer because of that, and you will suffer a result of those. When it comes to parenting, I just mentioned that one, but like when it comes to success, and you think that there are some people that are just, they're smarter than me. Well, it's probably true, like technically, but you're smart enough. You can figure it. Dude, I'm telling y'all, I am not that smart. And Paige rips on me all the time for this. She's like, you're really smart. I'm like, I'm really not. Maybe I'm able to throw words together and speak quickly enough to make people think I'm smart, but like I'm kind of like some common sense sometimes. I don't think I'm that smart. I question my decision-making all the freaking time. I don't lack confidence, but I don't quit. I don't quit trying, man. I don't quit trying. And the reason I don't quit trying is because I know that there are some limiting beliefs there, and that's just not true. There are people with half your talent, with twice as much self-belief, making 10 times the money you are right now because you just don't believe in yourself enough. You don't. That's what it's about. You don't take risks. So the cost of never taking those risks, of not thinking that you're smart enough, is that you guarantee that you will be broke forever, that you'll never be successful. That's what you're guaranteeing. That's the cost. You never get to see what that amazing story looks like because you believed something that's bullshit. So we've identified the cost. Now we're going to replace it. Not replace it. We're going to question it. So these aren't even affirmations, really. I want you to ask, of your limiting belief, is this absolutely true? Is this true in every timeline for every human in history? Is it true? Is it true that I'm not smart enough? Let's just look at that one, dissect it. Is this absolutely true? It's not. It's not true. There are people out there who are probably less intelligent than I am. That's probably just factual, right? Okay. So it's not true. I've already debunked that one, right? Let's say when it comes to sobriety, is that I can't get sober. Okay. Has there been someone with my same background, my makeup, that has done this, that has gotten sober and lived a happy life? That is true. That is absolutely true. So this belief then is not true. We know it's objectionably false. Is it current, or is it based on who I was years ago? Ask yourself that one too. For a lot of us, we are working with old software that we picked up as children, and we think we have to stay small as adults because of what happened when we were children. So is it true that you still have to stay small in your career or in your marriage, in relationships, that you have to remain quiet? Is that true? It's not true anymore. Your software is outdated. You need to update it. Update the software. It's just not true. The question that I always ask people whenever they ask us like these really difficult questions that are very personal about their lives is simple. It's almost, I just ask another question. What would you tell someone else in your shoes? What advice would you give them? What would you tell your best friend, the person that means the most to you in your entire life, if they came to you and said, I'm not smart enough? I can never be better. That'll never be me. There are those people, then there are me. What would you tell them? Now start to treat yourself like you're someone that you're responsible for caring for. Start to treat yourself with that same respect. And this works in a lot of different ways. We've had people message us and say, he's abusive and he hurts me and he scares me and I don't know what to do. And what I ask them is that, what would you tell your best friend if they ask you that question? Simple. I would tell them to get to safety as fast as possible. Never look back. That's the answer. That's the answer. It's always the answer. It's just hard for us to see it because we're so in our shit and we're so convinced that we're different and we're unique and we're special. And you are in some ways, but you're not in so many more. You're just not. And that advice is applicable. You already have most of the answers, guys. You do. You already have them. You don't need people like me, these talking heads on a screen or in a microphone, to remind you of that. I want you to get to a point where you remember this stuff because you've already got it inside of you. It's already there. The ingredient thing we talked about earlier is true. Those ingredients are already there. You just need to be more clear about this stuff and start to ask yourself better questions. That's what I hope I can do for you. Like Paige and I both, we want you to start asking better questions. We're not going to ever have all the answers, but we will have good questions that you can be asking yourself and other people around you to get those answers. They're going to be a little different for all of you, but what would you say to someone else with your same story? What would you tell them? I know what you would tell them. And it would not be what you tell yourself. You don't give yourself half the respect you should. You don't give yourself half of the hope that you should. You wouldn't tell someone else, can't win, don't try, give up. You probably wouldn't, unless you were just feeling super cynical. Maybe you're an asshole, but you wouldn't tell people that. You wouldn't. You would be incredibly realistic. You would be incredibly pragmatic, and you would give them hope. But you would be realistic about it. And that's the same answer for you. It's the same answer for you. You just have to start treating yourself like you're someone that you're responsible for caring for. What would you tell your best friend? What would you tell your daughter? What would you tell your son? That's the advice that you need to get. You are judging adult you with evidence gathered during survival mode, and that is just outdated software. It's not applicable anymore. Okay, so now, once we've seen the rope, we've now questioned the rope, let's test the rope. And this is the shift. You don't need the belief necessarily. You don't need confidence. You just need to test it. Show up anyway. Tell the truth anyway. Try again anyway. do the uncomfortable thing anyway. Guys, new evidence comes from action, not from thought, not from rumination, not from wondering, not from journaling, but from action. Test it and do something different this time. Find someone who has exactly what you want and do what they did. Follow that recipe. It is a well-worn path, but we just have to follow it. That's been my experience. When I wanted to do well in school and I wanted to have a degree and be one of these fancy, smart people and educated people, I just started going to school and showing up and studying more. And I studied my ever-living ass off. And I was in the library by myself really late because I was really behind in a lot of stuff. Guys, I took basic college math. Like, I had to take 3 or 4 levels of it before they would even let me into like college algebra. I graduated with a 398 with a degree in finance, and I was taking classes in stochastic calculus, running Monte Carlo simulations and stuff by the time I was a senior. It's just a matter of putting in the action. And now that the action exists, I can look at myself and say, I'm pretty good at math. Like, I'm pretty good at it. I'm not great at it, but I'm pretty good. Coming from a place where I'm not a math person. I don't do math. It's just not me. Not true. Not true. Fitness, same thing. Grew up a heavy kid. You can get shredded. You don't think you're successful or you can be successful. Put in the effort, do what everyone else did, and you will get the same thing. When it comes to sobriety, do what everyone else did. Quit trying to fucking take shortcuts. Quit trying to do it your way. Your way has been what up to this point? Answer, ineffective. Let's try something different, whatever that might be. I'm not saying you have to do exactly what I did, but if you haven't tried what I did, try what I did and see if that works. But you have to show up and you have to take action. If you feel small in your relationship, start advocating for yourself. Actually, the woman that was actually responsible for Tufo ever starting a social media account and kind of inspiring me and Paige both, her story, we got to get her on at some point. She's amazing. She's such a lovely human. She felt small her whole entire life and she never advocated for herself. And she is not that person anymore. She believes in herself. She has confidence. She knows her worth. And she has self-esteem now that she never could have dreamed of all those years ago when I first met her. She used to work for me. I hired her at 19 years old. And she left the company about a year ago to go do something better. And I was so proud of her. Sad to see her go because she was just so much fun to have around the office. Her morale and everything else, her attitude was great. She was part of our culture, but I wasn't going to hold someone back from being great and being amazing. She was going to be greater than she ever could have dreamed of being when she was with us. And that's the greatest thing in the world. I've seen people do this, and not just in addiction, not just in addicted relationships, in just life in general, guys. This stuff works. I wouldn't be sitting here wasting my time talking to you on a Saturday night if I didn't believe this shit. I believe this shit and I live this shit and I'm living proof of this shit. This works. Do the thing, whatever it is. And thinking about doing the thing is not the same as doing the thing. This is a Chris Williamson bit, by the way. Journaling about the thing is not doing the thing. Thinking of telling others that you're going to do the thing is not doing the thing. Doing the thing is doing the thing. It's getting in the weeds and doing the work. And when you start doing that, you will change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And suddenly you will become that person, but it won't feel like that right away. I'm telling you right now, identity lags reality by 1 to 2 years. For a couple years, you're still going to feel like the old version of you. You're still going to feel like that elephant that's tied to a tiny little rope and can't pull away. But you're going to have to start to build evidence that that's not true. And at some point, and I don't know when it happens, but something will happen if you just keep doing the thing, you will become that person that you never dreamed you could be. And you will have so much pride in yourself. You will be so proud of yourself. And you will say, look at me. I did it. I did this thing. And if I could be there with you, I would. If you would please include me on this, if you're doing something like this, send me an email. I want to be part of this. I want to know. I want to cheer you on. I want to support you along the way. I want to be your friend through this. And I will do that for you, just like people have done it for me. I want to see you achieve greatness, whatever that is in your life, whether that's rebuilding your relationship or getting sober or just becoming someone who advocates for themselves and feels like they have a voice that matters, getting out of an abusive situation, whatever that is. I want to be part of it. And I want you to know that you've got our support and we will be there with you every step of the way. And I won't let you quit on yourself. I'm going to keep showing up every week and being annoying and saying this shit every single week so that you keep going. You have to keep going. You're worth it. The people that love you are worth it. You have to do this. I think I think this is what gets me up in the morning. This is what keeps me going, man. If I just believed that I was predestined for the things that I believed about myself when I was a kid, there's no point. Like, there's just no point. Like, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I haven't even lived my best days yet. Like, they're still on the horizon, that I still haven't met all the people that I'm going to love and admire, that there's still so much adventure and amazing things out there. I believe in brighter tomorrows. I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have hope. And you should too. And there's nothing different about you and I. The only thing that may be different, if you feel like you're nothing close to where we're at, Paige and I, is that you just haven't done that work yet. You have to do the work. You can't step that part. But I want you to get jazzed up and hopeful and motivated that not only can you do it, you can do it better than we did, because you've already got a blueprint. You can see where to improve where we didn't, like, be better. You could do so much better. So amazing. You just have to start the work today. And the work is the work, guys. Sometimes it's boring, but it's necessary. We all have to do it. You can't shortcut it. But on the other side of that, there's a life that you could never dreamed. Like, if I asked you to write an email to me right now about what you wanted out of life, your biggest dreams, and you sent it to me, I'll put it away in a time capsule. And I want to see you start to walk that path about what that would take. If I showed you that letter in 5 years, 10 years time, you would have sold yourself short 100-fold. You will have so much more than that. I do this all the time with people when I've ever helped someone get sober, and I just want my wife back, dude. I just want my job back. I want my kids to respect me. I want to respect myself. What they'll actually get is an incredible relationship that people will write books about one day. They'll have success beyond their wildest dreams in material sense, success in their relationships, and in an intimate sense, that, I mean, so much more than they ever could have dreamed. That's the truth. I need you to just trust me on this. And you have to start believing this stuff too at some point as well. I just want to say that the rope that's holding you to that post, man, maybe it kept you safe when you were a baby, but it doesn't serve a purpose anymore. And you have to break that thing. And you have to understand that it can't hold you back. It can only hold you back to the degree that you believe it can. You are bigger and stronger and more capable than you ever dreamed you could be. You have to start believing that. I see it in you. Other people see it in you, but you have to see it in you. So whether you're a spouse or a partner and you're trying your best to survive in the chaos of this relationship, ask yourself some tough questions. What advice would you give your best friend? Treat yourself like you're someone that you're responsible for caring for. And you might have to make some really tough decisions. For others, you might be in this weird limbo period where things are rebuilding, but it just feels strange. Start to be the person that you want to be and start to walk that path of action and what that actually looks like. And it won't feel so strange anymore. If you're someone who feels like you can't get sober, you can't be a better man, you can't ever be trusted again, bullshit. Yes, you can. Start doing the work today and you will start to become that person. I promise you. All the lies you've told yourself for all these years are just that. They're just opinions, man. What movie is that from? Big Lebowski. That's just like, your opinion, man. And it's what it is. It's not a fact. It's not true. Walk yourself through that exercise. Walk yourself through that. I want you guys to really spend some time with this one and examine this one. I hope that you've gotten all the way through this. And if you have, my guess is that you're jazzed up and you're fired up and you're excited about what comes next. And that's what I want for you. I want you more than anything to be excited about life. I want you to be ready to face the challenge. And it's not too late for you, that you're like early, as a matter of fact. You are early the part where you finally wake up and your life gets better. The arc for you is about to get so amazing and interesting, and I'm just so excited for you. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Please shoot me an email, matt@twfocouple.com, and tell me how you're going to take this information, what you're going to do with it, or leave it in the YouTube comments right there. Let me know what you're going to do. I am very, very curious. I want to see you test the rope, and I want to see that thing fucking snap. I can't wait to hear it pop. That's all I've got. I got something interesting coming up this next week. By the time this comes out, I'm going to be in Florida recording a podcast that I hope comes out soon with a pretty big show, like the biggest show I've ever been on. Hopefully it's a good conversation. maybe I'll eat my words saying this because the episode just never comes out because it's a freaking travesty. It's an awful conversation. I don't know, but I'm excited about it. Hopefully you get to share that with you guys soon. More to come on that, but keep showing up here every week. Can't wait to see what comes of this as you start to challenge some of these limiting beliefs that are standing in the way of you and greatness. Because I know that it's in you. I know it is. Spouse or partner, if you're someone who just stumbled upon this episode, you have no clue what any of this is about, or if you're someone who's trying to get sober, rebuild their life, you too. The ingredients are there. Fuck your limiting beliefs. Let's do something awesome this week. And that's all I've got. Until next time, I'm Matt, and I'll see you.